is the man himself.
Hey, Don.
Hey, folks.
Hello.
Hi, Eric. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Glad to
We
have you here. We'll get
haven't talked in
going
a
here.
long time.
Yeah, me too. We'll get a few more minutes into it here, and then we'll get started.
All right.
So, things going well today?
Yeah. Still working on my morning coffee, and I'm getting ready to. I'm starting a study on shooting glasses, eyeglasses.
Eyeglasses? You got a client in mind, or?
I do have several in mind, but one is Tifosi, and they are they were a client of the guy I bought the business from, and it's the only client I didn't get to keep. And because he had said, "Oh, you're not ready for them," when they came asking for images, and by the time I was quote ready, then they already had someone else.
So you're going to go after them. You're going to court them.
Yeah. So they have good work. I'm maybe not as concerned with them as I am some other companies. So I have a connection with a guy who started another eyeglass company, and I'm going to try to pursue that one.
All right. Have you found how many eyeglass companies there are in that area?
There's a lot.
Cool.
So, a lot of them have been doing it for a long time, and probably do their own in-house. And but first, I want to make sure that I can do whatever is required. So before I really pursue them, I'm going to do some testing, and for me, that's probably going to be a day of not shooting anything, but just holding eyeglasses and sunglasses up. Not so much eyeglasses, but sunglasses. But holding them up to lights and figuring out how would I light it. And there's some kind of tricky things that some of them are doing that I have to figure out how they're doing it first.
Sure. So some solid research.
Yeah, and sometimes that doesn't involve clicking the shutter.
No, it doesn't. Well, let me introduce you here, sir, and I'll get over here to I'll get the page up here. Let me introduce you to everybody here. This is Eric Muetterties, Bay Area photographer, East Bay, I guess you would say.
Yep.
With a studio and mostly prefers studio work. We were talking a little bit yesterday, but can do anything and has done pretty much everything. And Eric took a workshop from me is frighteningly long time ago.
November 2010.
2010, so 9 years ago.
Across the country, no less.
Yeah, and in Virginia, and we ended up being on the same flight back. He had a connecting flight here in Phoenix, and said he wanted to be a photographer, and here we are today. And Eric's been going pretty good now for 5 or 6 years, and
yeah, actually, I started right in 2011.
Oh, okay.
So remember, I lost my job March 2011, yes. 3 months into Project 52, and which I knew was coming. I was anticipating for a year, and then I decided to jump right in, and I had a studio by September of 2011. But I just I jumped in both feet, and
well, you didn't have any options.
Well, I did have options. I could have kept doing what I was doing. I could have worked for someone else, and I opted to not do that. So,
Well, we're glad you became a photographer. So tell everybody here a little bit about what it specifically is that you do and like to do. And I will pull your website up over here so they can see it while you're
all right.
chatting.
So I am basically, I would say 90% of my work right now is product work in the studio or out of the studio. Mostly in the studio and mostly tabletop. The other 10 to maybe 15% sometimes is going out and shooting corporate portraits, and that's pretty much it. I don't really extend out into doing too many other things. Most of what I'm doing is product work, and which I prefer because I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and to go 30 miles takes you 2 hours on average. So getting anywhere in San Francisco or any of these areas is just insane. So being 5 minutes from the studio, that's my preferred use of my time, is to not be in the truck all the time, but be actually working in the studio. So
Yeah, and you have medical clients, food clients, small business that makes stuff clients, and can you can be very busy and you can be a little slow. I know you're coming out of a slow period now, working really hard to pack it back in.
yeah, I have times where I'm shooting 5 days a week and working Saturday to catch up, and then times where I'm not shooting at all for a week or two. So it definitely goes up and down. It really is driven by the clients and their work. They may not have new products for a year or two, so I might not see them for a couple of years.
Sure.
And then I have a catalog client that is kind of indoor and outdoor stuff. Decor is basically what you call it. And we shoot about 300 to 500 items a year for them. And right now we're in the middle of a supplemental catalog, which we started, but they're waiting for stuff from China. And so they're probably 20 days a year or something like that. They're one of the bigger clients as far as time. And then I've got quite a few medical clients, a little bit of clothing. I had a scarf company that she's kind of faded out right now. I think her business is taking the back seat to her kids, and so we haven't seen her in a while, but pretty much that's it. The corporate work is a lot of environmental portraits where they want to be shot in the office, in the setting where they're working. So
Excellent. What's your studio size?
Well, it's right here. Let's see if I can show you. So that's the front door, and that is the back. Let's see. What did I do? Oh, there we go. And that's the back of the studio there. It's about 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And you got 13.5-foot ceilings. You can see a lot of my lighting stuff there. I've got a huge toolbox here. And, this is the client area right up here. They usually are sitting at these two tables. And very flexible space. Got a refrigerator, a coffee pot, and my wife's watercolor table. So that's pretty much it. So 1,000 square feet. It's more than adequate for what we typically do. And are you still there? Oh yeah, you're still.
Yeah. I'm just listening.
I'm going to close this blind that's got me I don't like these highlights on the side of my face here. Hold on.
Well, I wanted to bring you on to have you talk a little bit about Project 52. Um, I think you went through Project 52 twice, right?
Yeah, I did so I started January 1st, your very first one that you started 2011. And I think we had 160 people on the Flickr group that did the first assignment. And then I stayed with it all year. I don't think I missed any assignments, maybe one or two.
Nope, not a one.
And I might have been late on a couple because I had other things to do, but I did all the way through the first year. And then you started the pro group, and oh, we lost Don.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here. I'm just sharing the
yeah, I got to
sharing
get
your work, because some of the work that's on your page here, you actually did in Project 52.
Yeah, let's
Got the
see.
industrial guy here.
Yes, yeah, that was actually a friend of mine who is a rock climber, and we went up to Mount Diablo. I had no intention of it being raining, and we actually snuck out the back of the building at the top of Mount Diablo, and they let us go out the back door so we could get on that precipice right there and shoot that. Otherwise, I'd have trouble getting there again today.
Yeah.
Let's see, Augusta, I shot back then.
I think this guy was
Yeah, it might have been later.
later in it.
There's probably a few in there, maybe under people. There might be more.
Yeah, but Eric will I think attest to the nature of the fact that I teach you to be as much of a generalist as I possibly can, hoping that at some point down the road you make the move to whatever specialty you want to do. Because I think it's important to touch on everything, because you may not. I don't think Eric was planning on being a product photographer when he started Project 52.
No, I wanted to be a fashion photographer.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed doing fashion, of course, shooting, pretty women and handsome guys. I still enjoy shooting people. I just don't do it as much as I used to. But learning to shoot people is very important because it actually teaches you how to work with people.
Yeah.
And, even when you're working with a client in the studio, working on product, it's important to be very relational and, be able to communicate well. And so learning to shoot people, the hardest assignment, there he is right there. Okay, the second from the top on the left, second one down. Yep. That is my friend Rod, who is now a friend, but he was a stranger. And that was your first stranger assignment, which I think was the second assignment you gave us. And man, I struggled with that. And I can pretty much talk to anyone, but going out with the camera, and it was at this local coffee shop that was outside, and he was a regular hanger-outer there. And we actually became good friends. And but that was a very tough assignment. I really had trouble approaching a stranger and saying, I want to shoot you. The girl in front of the window was from the workshop.
Yep, I'm from the workshop. They're in Virginia.
Yep. Apex, actually it was Apex, North Carolina.
I always forget that. Apex. Weird name of a town.
Very small. But yeah, I mean, I still, and I keep that in there because that was when you encouraged me. You said, and I wasn't really sure if I could be a photographer. And that was the second day of the 2-day workshop, end of the day. and I came back and showed it to you, you said, that's iconic. And whether it is iconic in the grand scheme of photography or not, it clicked for me. I can do this, and I can find my way, and I can have a style that is mine. It really just, it clicked something in me and encouraged me that, yes, I can do this. And so that's kind of why it's still in the portfolio. It's been taken out a couple times, and I keep putting it back in.
Yeah. Well, we have some Project 52 folks that just started Project 52 here, and I imagine there's some questions from them. We are going to let Eric go here in about 10 minutes. So if you guys have some questions, fire them up.
Yeah, ask me anything.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. Who is this, Philip?
Yeah, it's me, Philip. Hello.
Yeah.
I was speaking to you a moment ago, Eric. So what changes in the industry have you noticed since you first started out shooting professionally?
Well, it's a little tough to answer because I still consider myself new in the industry. I'm working, the top professionals have probably been at it for 30 years or more, 20 to 30 years, and I'm still in my first 10. But I have noticed some companies, of course, companies keep bringing in younger and younger creatives, and there tends to be, how can I say it, you're working with less professional people if they're new in the industry and they have no clue what they need or what is good, or
Okay.
So I have to be very careful when I have younger creatives in the studio, because I have to realize they may not realize what good is, or what better is. Because there's good, and then there's better, and then there's even better, and then there's better. And they may not want to pay for 4 or 5 levels of better. They may have been assigned they need to get 20 shots done in a day, which seems to be a magic number. And you've got to do the best you can with what time you're given to get the best result.
Yeah, interesting.
And I do know a lot of the photographers that are pretty well known in the Bay Area, that have been at it and worked through agencies and worked for companies like Safeway, which is a big grocery store chain out here. And the money is not as good as it used to be. So where they might have been able to get licensing and crank up fees, like $6,000 to $10,000 for a shoot, that might be down to $2,000 to $3,000 or $3,000 for the day. So, which sounds like a lot of money until you're running a studio and trying to run a business all year, and you may only work 1 day a week. And in this area, $3,000 a week or $2,000 a week, you're going to be almost on welfare. So it is definitely a tougher market, but there still is work out there.
Right.
Yeah, and we as a unit of photographers, we have to adapt to the times. We cannot allow ourselves to sit around and bitch and whine and moan about how things used to be, because that is not productive. Things have changed, and we have to learn to accept what we can, move on when we can. The idea of rights managed imagery for small companies and mom and pops is probably gone.
Yeah.
And I hear photographers going, well, we just have to educate them. No, not my job.
Yeah.
Try educating somebody who.
The one thing I would emphasize, and I do have a dual stream of income. It's very it's not as big as the photography, but I do consulting, which is related to what I used to do in construction. So I do have a camera when I'm doing it, but I'm taking pictures of construction and writing field notes. And that pays me, anywhere, it's about $70 an hour plus drive time and mileage. So I always say it's better than a poke an eye with a sharp stick, and it kind of fills in the blanks.
Yep.
I'm physically unable to carry cameras around my neck anymore because of bulging discs. So I try to not do events. I try but if my back was good, my neck was good, I would absolutely go shoot events and make, a couple $100 if I had to put money in the bank. So, you shouldn't lock yourself into one thing, and you might find that you love doing real estate, or you love doing architecture, or you just have to get out there and try everything.
Yeah, Scott Hargis makes a pretty good living doing real estate.
Yep.
I know a lot of people doing real estate that don't.
Yep.
But Scott has found a way to boost the perceived value of what he does, the way he treats his clients and stuff, and makes a fairly nice living at it. So,
yeah, well.
Another question. Who else has a question?
I actually know Scott personally. So.
Oh, yeah. Who else has a question? Come on, guys. He's a.
I have a question for you. How aggressively are you still working your marketing? Like, are you on it like he suggests, or have you backed off some?
You cannot back off. I did back off for a couple of years because I was getting my pilot's license, and I have a plane, and I try to fly a day or two a week, and that's cost me a bit. I'm actually actively working right now to bring that back, and I produced a 16-page brochure, which I think I shared on Project 52 on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And
if you get a chance, would you pop that up again? It's probably
sure.
way back in the feed.
Yeah, and I have been targeting. What I do is I do the research. I go to Research USA, which is most public libraries give you access to if you have an account. And I pull down lists of companies in my area that are manufacturers or whatever, and I start looking at their websites, seeing if they have if they buy photography. If they're obviously have a lot of photography, then I'm going to go after them. Then I go on LinkedIn, try to find the marketing person, and make sure they're in the Bay Area. So it can be a little tricky to narrow down where they are. And then I actually mail them out. Sometimes I drop them off, although some companies won't even let you in the door now unless they know you're coming. And so I'm doing a very targeted marketing with that. I'm getting ready to print I printed 50. I'm getting ready to print 250, and then really between now and the end of the year, get that into the hands of people who might hire us.
And they're about $6 or $7 a piece, right?
It cost me, when I do a 250, it's going to cost me $4 a piece, and then $1.50 to mail them. So, figure $5.50 a piece to mail them out.
Yep. Yeah, you can't back off on marketing, folks. Otherwise, you end up with this sort of seesaw.
But I'm not blindly sending them out.
No.
Right.
No.
That's a complete. You might as well take the $1,000 you spent on the printing, and might as well burn it.
Burn it. Buy burgers with it.
You could do a burn shot. Maybe that you make more money on that. So.
Yeah, that's very true. And by the way, the method that Eric is talking about is Find Photo Clients Now method, where you use Google, LinkedIn. What's the book that you use? It's Research USA.
Yeah, I think it's Research USA. I get it through the county library.
Every library will have a Research USA?
Reference, yeah, Reference USA.
Oh, reference.
Yeah, the county libraries typically, if you're in the U.S., a lot of them, if you have a library card, they will allow you access to these databases, and they're kind of limited, but you can download a page, download a page, download a page. You know, they limit how much you can download, but what I did is downloaded, I don't know, 20 some odd pages of Excel worksheet, and then put it together in one Excel sheet. And I have the whole Bay Area where I can look through and find companies and pick away at each town, or I can filter it by what their sales are. You can actually look for specific company codes, and you just have to dig in there and work it.
And then you hit Google Maps to find out where they are. If they're in your area, then you hit LinkedIn and
actually I'll do the reverse too. I'll go on Google and have it show all that, zoom in and look for the company names and just click on them, and it takes you right to their website.
Right.
So I've done that in the area around me, but it doesn't show you all the companies. So
no, it doesn't, and that's why you have to. There's no substitute for shoe leather and gasoline.
Yeah, and it takes time. And occasionally I'll walk and just knock on doors and walk in. Smaller companies, you can get away with that. The larger companies, no. In fact, Shackley would not even open the door for me to give a brochure to one of their people, because they said, "Is this person expecting this brochure?" And I said, "No." But they did take it, but they weren't even going to let me in the door to give them something. So it's very tough if you have people that that know somebody. That's a better way to get in the door than anything else. So
one of the things I used to do is to take my portfolio with me with business cards and a leave behind.
Yep.
And I'd walk in the graphic design firm and I'd say, "Oh, I really love you guys' work." I just talked to the secretary, whoever was at the door. "I love your work. I'd really like to work for you. I'm not here to see anybody. I know I don't have an appointment, but I was right down the street and I thought I'd drop my business card off and this leave behind. If you could give that to the art director, that'd be great." And I will tell you that 7 out of 10 times they'd say, "Hold on, I don't think he's busy."
Right.
And they would take me right back and meet somebody. But I was always the good guy because I wasn't demanding an audience. I wasn't there to show it. I would always act like, "Oh, no, seriously, that's okay." That's all right. That's part of the gig. We got to get in the door to show them the stuff.
So one of the things that I'm doing right now also is yes, I have a body of work, but am I happy with it? Not necessarily. And I am starting to work on expanding into more interesting things. And in the process, you look, Don and I were talking yesterday about looking at very successful photographers, one in my area who does not really super, remember Tyler Chartier?
Yes.
Let's see.
I'll pull him up here.
Yeah. So copy. I can type it in the chat.
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay. And then Elizabeth asked me, "Have you ever been hired to do quarterly Instagram visual content campaigns?" Nope. Although I would like to do one for one of my clients, but they already have someone doing it.
Yeah, that's
so Tyler is a guy, he is always busy. I can't even, I say, "Hey, let's meet for lunch. I'll fly up to Petaluma." And he goes, "Oh, I can't today." So he is a very busy guy. He shoots a lot of corporate, some product. He does videos on LinkedIn, and he's always, every day he has something posted on LinkedIn. and sometimes it's a video talking about stuff. And he's really gotten himself busy. I'm very certain I'm going to meet with him, and he does these Tyler's tips.
I'm going to put this in chat. I really do recommend you guys grab this URL and hold on to it. Tyler's tips. He's got 40 tips here, and sometimes, you know, and Eric will back me up. Sometimes you meet these photographers online, and they do their little spiels, and half of them are, what's the kind word, Eric? Bullshit? Is it still that?
Yes.
Yes. There's no bullshit from Tyler. I sampled about 10 of these. This guy really knows what he's doing. He's got a very nice, easy, charming way of explaining it, and definitely cool content for all of you.
I'm going to actually ask him if he minds if I copy what he's doing. So, I mean, and you know, I want to be careful. You want to be original, and I would like to do something more original that's, you know, based on my kind of clients that they can, or the clients that I want. But I
get some ideas. We'll talk after. We'll talk maybe tomorrow. I get some ideas for you.
All right.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we got time for one more question, and we'll let Eric get back to shooting sunglasses. And by the way, if you were a little bit late, Eric is working on developing new shots for his portfolio. You're going to spend a day with sunglasses, but really not even shooting the sunglasses, just messing around with them.
Yeah, actually, I'm the sunglasses I want to shoot, I'm actually going to try to get comp some to shoot and then send them back. But I'm going to shoot a pair of my own glasses that have a anti-reflective coating and reproduce the coating, and they're tricky. Glasses are very, very tricky, because if you look at the companies that sell them, the big sunglass companies, they have very specific ways that they're doing their glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say I can do it unless I know exactly how they do each and every way.
Yeah. There are some sunglass companies where the reflection of the soft box is welcome.
Right.
You want to see it. And there are some sunglasses companies that don't want to see it.
Right. Or they have a big gradient, like a
right.
round gradient. Yeah.
Right. And so your job as a commercial photographer is something we were talking about yesterday too, is that so many times we as commercial photographers, we get it in our heads that this is going to be the most creative thing we've ever done in our lives, being commercial photographers. And on one side of your hand, it is, because you get to do great creative work for your portfolio. But when the job comes in, what happens, Eric?
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's toaster on white. It's, you know, blue box on white with, you know, stuff around it.
Yeah, I was shooting these table topics. They're like a plexiglass cube, and they're a game with cards in them. And I might have shared one the other day, but let's see. Tabletop. If you search table topics, one word, you come up with tabletopics.com. And I've shot all their stuff. And they're basically a plexiglass cube. You know, they're not real fancy, but you got to reproduce exactly the angles. And yeah, I've shot all that stuff for years. And in fact, there's the new ones down there. So, you know, I came up with a kind of an interesting look that was more of a darker look, and they really weren't interested. They just want to go with the same old look, you know.
Yep. We've got a brand look, and they're going to stick with it.
Yep. And you know, they're actually, the retouching can be very interesting on those, because the labels might not lay flat. And I can't emphasize enough knowing Photoshop inside and out, and every day learn something new, whether you're watching Pix Imperfect or Adobe workshops that are free, or Creative Cal. You just have to keep learning until you're really good at Photoshop.
Yep.
and then keep learning.
And keep learning. I was going to say, because then
Yeah.
Photoshop updates and you've got a whole bunch more stuff to learn.
Yep. All right.
Thank you, Eric, for being here
Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it.
and chatting with us. I am so happy you were able to do it. And we're now going to go off and look at a flash assignment. You have a great rest of your day, sir.
All right.
Hey,
We'll see you
Don.
guys.
Oh, wait a minute.
Don,
Hold on. Yeah, Mark.
You have that video that you did with Eric on before. Do you want to pass the link or whatever
Oh,
when you
the
did
old,
that other video with him? Yeah, the older one.
the old one. Yeah.
I don't know where that is.
Oh, okay.
It is on, if you search my last name on YouTube, it'll come up.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it. It had more information that was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah,
I
I think we went over an hour on that one.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've done a couple of them though, Eric. I think you and I have chatted a couple times. So
Yeah, it is on YouTube. I've seen it in the not too. I'll look for it while you guys are talking, and then I'll pop it in there. So.
all right. Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
All right, folks, let's get over here. Oh, hold on. I need to do something. I need to stop the video, and then I need to restart the video.